There is a Tesla semi-parked in Sunnyvale, California right now that looks like it drove straight out of a military surveillance program. Someone spotted it last week, and the photos are wild. Above the cab, where you'd normally see a sleek aerodynamic fairing, there is a towering sensor rig cameras, LiDAR pucks, radar arrays all mounted on a scaffold that makes the truck look like, and that is exactly what it is. But here is what nobody's talking about. That single truck isn't just testing autonomous driving. It is the visible tip of a $3 trillion infrastructure heist that has been quietly executing for nearly a decade, and the tunneling has already begun underground. I mean, that literally. Right now, beneath cities in America, boring machines are carving out a dedicated freight network that will make surface-level trucking look like horse-drawn carriages. And almost nobody. Now, I know that sounds dramatic. But stick with me for a minute, because what I'm about to show you isn't speculation. It is a convergence of events that, when you line them up, reveal something the market has completely overlooked. And if you're the kind of person who likes understanding where the world is actually heading before it gets there, this video is for you. Hit that like button. It tells the algorithm to show more people the signals they're missing. And honestly, the more people who understand this shift, the better positioned everyone is when it hits. The truck is doing something called ground truthing. It is a term that sounds technical but means something brutally simple. The sensors on that rig aren't just collecting data, they're recreating a centimeter, accurate 3D map of every road, every off-ramp, every loading dock the semi will ever need. They reteaching an AI what the world actually looks like at 65 miles per HL, in rain, in glare, at night through construction zones. And the reason this matters is that autonomous driving isn't really about the driving. It is about the data. The company with the most high-fidelity, real-world mapping data wins. Period. And that truck in Sunnyvale isn't testing, it is harvesting. It is vacuuming up the final layer of ground truth data the system needs before it can operate without a human in the loop at all. Now, take a closer look at what has been happening to the semi itself, because the hardware tells a story most people missed entirely. In late 2025, Tesla quietly rolled out a hardware redesign. Most people didn't notice because, honestly, who is watching truck specs? But the redesign is revealing. The new semi packs 10 external cameras, not 6, not 8, 10. There is an interior camera monitoring the driver, which tells you something about how much Tesla expects the human behind the wheel to actually be doing. Spoiler, not much. And then there are the new side-mounted camera pods perched above the front wheel arches. Those aren't cosmetic. They're positioned specifically to eliminate the blind spots that kill cyclists and pedestrians when a truck makes a right turn. This is a vehicle being engineered for a world where the driver is optional, and the sensors are the ones making life and death decisions. The steering wheel is still there, but the architecture around it has already moved on. But why does any of this matter? Why should you care about a test truck in a California parking lot? Because long-haul trucking isn't just another industry. It is the circulatory system of the entire economy, and the numbers will make your head spin. A single long-haul truck can exceed 100,000 miles per year. Compare that to your car, which maybe does 12,000 miles if you have a long commute. These machines are essentially in perpetual motion. They cross state lines, climb mountain passes, navigate urban sprawl at 3 a.m., and they're repiloted by human beings who get tired, distracted, and sometimes make mistakes that every year in the United States, large trucks are involved in roughly 5,000 to 6,000 fatal crashes. Now here is the part that should genuinely make you angry. The majority of the people dying in those crashes aren't the truck drivers. They're the occupants of other vehicles. They families in minivans, commuters in sedans, people who did nothing wrong except share a highway with 80,000 pounds of metal, driven by someone who hadn't. That is not an abstract statistic. That is 5,000 to 6,000 families a year getting a phone call that shouldn't have to happen. And when you stack that against what Tesla claims its full self-driving system can already do, the contrast is staggering. The company reports one serious collision for roughly every 5.3 million miles driven with FSD engaged, the US average for human drivers. One serious collision every 660,000 miles. That is not a small gap. That is nearly an order of magnitude. And when you are talking about trucks that drive 100,000 miles a year, trucks that never get tired, never get distracted, never reach for a phone, never have a bad day, but here is where it gets interesting. If you think this is about safety, you're only half right. The other half is economics, and the economics are absolutely savage. Rewind to 2017. Tesla hadn't even delivered a single Model 3 to a customer yet, and Elon Musk was already on stage talking about something called convoy mode for the Semi. The concept was deceptively simple. Put a human driver in the lead truck, then have 2 or 3 autonomous trucks follow behind in tight formation, drafting like cyclists. The aerodynamic benefits alone would slash energy costs dramatically. And then Musk threw out a number that most people dismissed as typical Elon hype. A 3-truck convoy could bring freight costs down to roughly $0.85. Let that sink in. That is a 32% cost reduction, and in an industry where margins are razor thin, 32% isn't a competitive advantage. It is an extinction event for anyone. He also said it would be 10 times safer than a human driver. At the time, convoy mode sounded like a cool science fair project, something to get investors excited. But now, looking back from where we stand today, it was something far more significant. It was the public filing of a business plan. A declaration of economic war announced on stage with a PowerPoint and a smile, while the audience applauded the cool tech demo and totally missed the implications. Because here is what has happened since. Tesla SFSD fleet has accumulated more than 11.3 billion miles of real-world driving data, not simulation miles, not test track miles, actual roads, actual weather, actual unpredictable human behavior lane changes, without signaling, children chasing balls into streets, construction zones with confusing signage. Every one of those 11.3 billion miles is feeding the same AI that will eventually pilot autonomous convoys. And more importantly, every one of those miles is data that no competitor can replicate without spending a decade and billions of dollars doing exactly what Tesla has already done. The moat isn't the trucks. The moat is the data. The Sunnyvale test truck isn't the beginning of this program. It is the end game. It is the final data harvesting run before the system goes fully operational. So you're probably thinking, okay, autonomous trucks on highways. I've heard this before. What is actually different now? What makes this moment different from every other autonomous trucks a coming headline of the last 5 years? Here is where the story takes a hard turn into territory most people haven't even glanced at. And this is the part that genuinely stunned me when I started connecting the pieces. While Tesla has been running semi-prototypes up and down California highways, the Boring Company has been quietly executing a parallel strategy that makes surface-level autonomy. They're not just digging tunnels for Tesla pods under Las Vegas. They're building the infrastructure for a dedicated, weatherproof, autonomous freight layer that operates completely outside the surface transportation system. Think about what that means. While every other autonomous trucking company is trying to solve the hardest version of the problem-sharing roads with unpredictable humans in unpredictable weather, the Boring Company is building a network. This isn't speculation. Let me walk you through what is happening right now. The Boring Company just got approval for a Vegas Loop station on the UNLV campus, with the company covering construction costs. That is a public university letting a private company build transit infrastructure on its land at the company's expense. Universities don't just hand over land for free unless they understand something about the long-term value of what is being built. And what UNLV understands is this. Once the tunnel network reaches critical density, the value of being connected to it becomes enormous. Being an early node in a new transportation layer is like being a town that got a railroad station in 1865. You don't say no to that. But the real signal, the thing that tells you this isn't a tourist attraction, is what is happening behind the scenes with emergency preparedness. Recently, the Clark County Fire Department conducted a massive tunnel rescue exercise with the Boring Company involving more than 200 firefighters and over 150 hours. 200 firefighters. 150 hours. Think about the scale of that operation. A private tunneling company coordinating large-scale emergency response drills with an entire county fire department isn't preparing for a few Tesla pods shuttling convention. They're preparing for a system that will move serious volume, serious cargo, and operate at a scale where emergencies need to be rehearsed like military operations. You don't run drills like that for a novelty. You run drills like that for infrastructure that is going to be moving millions of tons of freight through tunnels under populated areas. And then there are the boring machines themselves. The first machine, and yes, they call it Prufrock, which is either a T.S. Eliot reference or just Elon being Elon has been operating in Las Vegas. But now there is a second machine, MB2, commissioned for what is being called the Nashville Music City Loop, and a third machine, MB3, is shipping in August. 3 boring machines active or about to be active simultaneously. That is not a pilot project. That is not a proof of concept. That is the early phase of a network build-out, and the boring machines themselves are getting faster and cheaper with each generation. The marginal cost of adding another tunnel keeps dropping, which means the network expands at an accelerating rate. What makes the underground piece so strategically brilliant isn't the tunneling technology itself, although that is impressive. It is the fact that underground logistics eliminates almost every variable that makes autonomous driving difficult on the surface. No pedestrians, no cross-traffic, no weather, no glare, no unpredictable human drivers cutting you off, no kids chasing balls into the road, no deer jumping out of the woods at dusk. The tunnel is a controlled environment where autonomous navigation becomes almost trivial compared to surface streets. It is a solved problem before you even start. And because it is a dedicated freight layer, you don't have to share it with commuters, school buses, cyclists, or anyone else. It is a private highway for autonomous cargo, and the boring company is building it one tunnel at a time while almost nobody is paying attention. Now, here is the convergence that should keep you up at night. Because it is not just one company doing one thing. It is multiple fronts advancing simultaneously toward the same outcome. Tesla now operates a fleet of unsupervised robotaxis in parts of Texas. Unsupervised. No safety driver. No human backup. No person in the driver's seat pretending to pay attention while the car does all the work. Just passengers getting into cars that drive themselves commercially on public roads right now. That is not a test anymore. That is a commercial service generating revenue. And the same underlying AI that powers those robotaxis is being trained on semi-data, being fed through the same neural networks, being refined by the same 11.3. The robotaxi and the autonomous semi aren't separate programs. They're the same brain in different bodies. Meanwhile, the boring company is multiplying its tunnel capacity with multiple machines running simultaneously. The foundational tunneling, the sensor calibration, the AI training, these aren't future milestones. They're largely complete. What we're watching right now is the transition from build-out to execution phase. The research and development chapter is closing. The deployment chapter is opening, and this is where the $3 trillion number comes from. It is not made up. It represents the combined value of the long-haul trucking market, the last-mile logistics infrastructure, the real estate around distribution hubs, the fuel and energy, and the labor market of roughly 3.5 million truck drivers in the United States alone. When autonomous electric trucks start running 24/7 without labor costs, without fuel costs, without human error, without mandatory rest breaks, every piece of that some assets go up charging infrastructure, tunnel-connected warehouses, autonomous fleet operators. And some assets go to zero diesel truck stops in the middle of nowhere, traditional trucking companies that can't adapt real estate that was valuable only because it was near a highway that human drivers needed to stop. This isn't a futuristic prediction. The autonomous freight and underground logistics revolution is an ongoing event, and we're catching it in the exact moment it transitions from covert development to overt deployment. The test trucks are on the roads. The tunnels are being dug. The robotaxis are picking up passengers. The boring machines are multiplying. The data has been collected. The AI has been trained. The only thing left is to flip the switch. And here is the part that should genuinely make you pause and think about where you're standing. Most people are going to miss this entirely. They're going to keep scrolling, keep driving past the sensor-laden trucks without a second glance, keep hearing autonomous vehicles, and filing it under future tech that is. And then one day, probably sooner than anyone expects, the trucking layoffs will start making headlines. The diesel truck stops will start closing. The logistics companies that didn't adapt will start filing for bankruptcy. And those same people will be shocked, blindsided, wondering how it all happened so fast. They'll say nobody warned them. But if you understand situations like this, if you can recognize the pattern of a slow-building infrastructure shift that suddenly reaches its execution phase, then you won't be the one panicking. You won't be the one scrambling to figure out what happened to your logistics adjacent job or your trucking company stock. You'll be the one who saw the sensor-laden test truck in Sunnyvale and recognized it for what it actually was. Not a prototype, not an experiment, but a signal. A signal that the economic war on diesel and human drivers has entered its final phase. And the winning side already has 11.3 billion miles of real-world experience. The question isn't whether this shift happens. It is already happening. The question is whether you see it coming in time to position yourself before the rest of the world catches up. Now, if you want to learn how to spot these kinds of infrastructure shifts before they become mainstream news, the kind of shifts that reshape entire industries and create generational wealth for the people, I break down the signals the market misses, the patterns the mainstream overlooks, and the opportunities hiding in plain sight. Make sure to subscribe if you want to stay ahead of what is coming. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.